All right, so I'm here with Shayne Reed from Almost Honest. How you doing, Shayne?
Good about yourself, man.
I'm doing fine. How's quarantine life treating you?
Boring. I mean, I'm still working, doing that whole working from home thing, but just being in the same spot all day, gets to you,
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so monotonous and repetitive, and I want to get out and play gigs again. It's like
right? I think
I'm
that's everyone right now.
yeah, I fucking miss it. So in preparation for this, I went through your whole discography in one sitting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I fucking loved it. So I started from Prophets of Doom. So that was 2016. Then I went to Thundermouth 2017, and then ended on Sieges and Sirens 2019. But yeah, so it's really cool stuff, and I love hearing how everything evolves over time. Um, so for those that aren't familiar with your music, how would you describe it?
It is groovy, sexy Viking funk doom rock from the land of the Amish. That is the best way to put it.
That makes sense. I mean, that
Makes as much sense as it can, I guess.
yeah. I mean that pretty much covers it. um, so how did you guys get your start? Like where did it all begin?
Well, definitely started early high school, probably 2012, 2013. We had just gotten out. Well, me and Seth, the bass player, had just gotten out of a bowling for soup cover band thing. Let's not talk about that. And we wanted to just start our own band. So we were floating around names, came up with Almost Honest. At the time, did not know that was a Megadeth song name.
Yeah.
I did listen to Megadeth, but I had no idea. Um, so we started then. We were really into different things at the time, but it was more like, I don't know, just Nirvana, him, and like Metallica. Really weird mixture. But that was kind of like the vibe in the very beginning before we even started recording things. In fact, we recorded like whole album in like early high school that we just never released. Um, and from there, we just kind of gathered some people, fluctuated between members like most bands, until we finally settled for Quentin, who's been the drummer ever since. But
So 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 for the first album, Prophets of Doom, was everybody that's currently in the band now, were they already in by that point, or
yes, there was a different guitar player, but like the core three of us, it's been the same.
so the was the guitar player on Prophets of Doom, or was that you by that point?
It was me, but there was another guitar player on it as well. So we actually for Prophets of Doom we had one guitar player, and then for Thundermouth we had a different one, and then for Sieges it was just me. So
Gotcha.
we just kind of fluctuated between different guitar players until we're just kind of like, let's just be a three piece. We don't want to have to kind of worry about it anymore.
I mean, honestly, it fucking kills as a three piece. I mean, you guys pull it off so well, and like it ends up being like a perfect balance of different elements. And I mean, I think it works great as just as a three piece.
Thank you.
Not throwing shade at the other guitarists, but
I think my only problem with it, and the only reason I would want to get another guitar player, is just for harmonized solos,
yeah,
because that's like a big thing that I love to do, but we just kind of can't unless I get like an octave pedal or something. But I don't really like to use pedals live. I know that's like blasphemy, but
yeah, that's always a bitch. Like because especially when you wanna um, on an album version where it's like, oh, let's add this harmony, let's add this vocal harmony, let's do all this shit, and then when you do it live, it's like, fuck, we have to actually do that now. It's like,
yeah.
um, so what was the first Almost Honest song that was written?
Oh my God. Well, the first one isn't one that anyone can even like hear now because it's not recorded anywhere. Do you mean in terms of like the first song we ever wrote that was like recorded that isn't out there, or do you mean in terms of like the EP, like out of those
Oh,
songs?
oh, I mean, very first time. It's like, let's put a song together. The very first one.
All right, very first one was called Romance Ablaze. It was really bad. It was like we were trying to be him, but like thrash him. It was bad. It was really bad. Like there was this lead in it that I can't get out of my head, and it's just terrible. I will have to show you at some point because it is recorded somewhere, and I will let your ears hear it. But man,
I would love to hear that. I love hearing really early stuff from people, and it's just like it's so fascinating to watch. It's like you're coming from this, and then it's like all of a sudden now you're an acclaimed band, like, and but yeah, I remember writing some songs when I was younger that were pretty shit, and
that's how you start out.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I mean, it's better to do that stuff early rather than still being shit.
Exactly. Get that out of your system.
I'm pretending that I'm not reading off of something right now. So, so right now, how do you guys approach songwriting as a band?
So at the moment, it is a very like collaborative effort, as opposed to kind of like what it was in the beginning, where EP was pretty much just me. But I think now at the moment we're just combining everything. It is still like one of us will come up with like a whole song idea, and we will all collaborate on it. As opposed to before, we didn't really know what we were doing, so I just kind of wrote the songs in straightforward. So like basically now, it will be either I'll have like a really cool riff or melody, or even a full song written, I'll come to it, or Seth will have a cool bass line or song. And even Quentin, as weird as this is, he'll write songs on drums, but he doesn't really know, like, I don't know how to put it. Like, he can't really play guitar. He knows what he wants, and he knows what he wants it to sound like. He can play to an extent, but he'll like come with like a whole like drum groove, and he'll like write a song out and be like, it should sound like din and it like here, and we'll just kind of be like, okay, I think this is what he means.
That's so cool. Like it's awesome when a drummer comes to the table with a full song, and it's like it's supposed to sound kind of like this, and then at first you're like, what the fuck? And then it ends up being a really cool, like well-driven song, and it's like I love how that works out.
It blows my mind because he has a completely like different way of looking at things, like because it's from a drummer's perspective. So I think you do get like a good mix of songs there because it's like coming from a completely different angle.
Yeah. So wait, is everyone coming in with finished complete songs, or does it ever get like really like a melting pot where it's like, oh, this, that, and everyone's throwing stuff on the table?
So with Prophets of Doom and Thundermouth, it was basically one of us will come with a complete song. With Seaches, it was more bits and pieces and working on it all together. And I feel like doing that definitely worked way better. And I feel like we're going to, in fact, even now with the new record we're doing, we've incorporated that a lot more because I think we kind of like got our flow now and kind of figured out what really works for us.
Gotcha. So as a band, what are some major musical influences that you guys have?
Major, I mean, we all kind of come from different backgrounds, but I'd say just off the top, like as a collective, definitely Clutch is probably top.
Gotcha.
But from everybody, we're probably looking at like Mutoid Man, Arctic Monkeys, Kink, Modest Mouse, Red Fang, The Sword, all over the place.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's nice to have all these different influences that just like kind of come out of left field, you know? What I was wondering too is that you guys like have a very, how do I put this? Like you tell these really interesting, like sci-fi kind of stories, like kind of weird sci-fi fantasy-ish like stories that, in your songs, and you have some really out there themes. So what are some non-musical influences that you guys have on your music?
Oh man. So like nerding out, like definitely just folklore. And I love just like finding about different local folklore that people don't really know too much about. So there's this place called Baldwin's Book Barn in Westchester. Have you ever been there?
I don't, if I did, I don't remember, honestly. No. Oh, can you?
But it's just like this huge barn filled with like a whole bunch of old books, and I'll go there and they have like a whole section of just like Pennsylvania history, and I can find some pretty cool like old like folklore books in there. So definitely that's one. And then just kind of, I guess the main thing is honestly just like, local history and just like local culture. Because we're all like in the Pennsylvania Dutch area. So that's one that we like incorporate a lot with. And then it is just kind of like coming up with your own stories. We all like movies and everything. So we'll kind of take bits and pieces of that, but we like sitting down and being like, okay, let's like write out a full story and then just try to come up with lyrics for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very cool. So with you personally, what's some vocal influences you have?
Vocal influences, let me think. Brandon Yaley from Crowbot is definitely a big one. Anthony Kiedis, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Neil Fallon, not from Clutch, not so much his like singing voice, but his mannerisms and the way he presents himself and the lyrics. I think that does play a big part.
Interesting. Like you have a very interesting vocal sound, and it ranges from a lot of different things. Like especially on Seaches, the vocals that you guys do, like it ranges from like there's a lot of different themes and almost like characterization that you put into your vocals, if that makes sense. I don't know. I find that really interesting.
I look at it like acting, and I also come from like a background of not singing. Like the only reason I sing in this band is because we couldn't find a singer. Like, and I've tried to improve upon it, but I still like, I don't consider myself a singer just because I'm not like trained in any way and I know I'm doing things wrong. So I look at it like acting because I don't think I can really sing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pretend I can sing and I'm acting in a part. And this is who I want to be for this part.
I mean, that's awesome. Like it's cool that you kind of created a mindset to get you in that. But I will say that as far as like listening from your voice to from Prophets all the way to Seaches, it's like your voice, like in the beginning, you had a sound and it was cool. But by the time you get to Seaches, it's like you have a very strong voice. Like, and I mean, even if you're not technically, trained or like maybe you're doing things wrong. I mean, we all are doing things wrong. I'm certain I sing like in ways that are really fucked up. But it's like, no, you ended up with a style and a sound that's really on point. So, I mean, I personally like. I think you deserve credit where it's due, so.
Well, thank you.
No problem. I'm just going to be kissing your ass for this whole thing. So I apologize.
Make me blush.
Yes, it'll get disturbing. So this is random.
I don't know if I should just like be like, see ya.
I fuck this. I'm out. Yeah, this is going to get sweaty. I'm kind of rushing into this because there's a lot of questions. But so I'm going to go into songs. So the intro track off of Prophets of Doom, so on the beginning on the beginning of Prophets of Doom, there's an intro track, and it's this ominous passage.
There are creatures that lurk in the absence of light. When we feel sorrow, these demons take flight. Each of us will meet them at the end of our life, whether it be murder, age, or the end of a knife.
So what is that? Where did it come from?
Came from Quentin. In fact, that's Quentin speaking too. When we were going to the studio to record it, he when we got in the van, he's just like, guys, I came up with this in the shower. And he just kept repeating it like the whole way down to the studio just to remember it. And then he just said it. I don't really think it means anything. I might have to ask him, but he came up with it in the shower. Like, we got to put this in somewhere.
I mean, it sounds cool. I was trying to, I was thinking about it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not sure what this is talking about, but it sounds like it means something. But okay, so my favorite song of Prophets of Doom is probably Valkyrie.
Burning all the witches in the houses of the holy.
So what's your favorite song off of this album?
My favorite is Neanderthal.
Gotcha.
I think that's the first one where people really dug it. In fact, we may even record that at a later point. But that's definitely my favorite, and second favorite would be of Lady and Fawn.
So what was the process? Like, I guess we'll condense it a little bit, but what was the general vibe of making Prophets of Doom? Like, what was it like?
General vibe of that was I just wrote all the songs from, because that, yet again, that was like us like kind of just starting out and wanting to record something. So I wrote all of the songs with pretty much zero input on it, and I just go to like the practice space and be like, guys, I wrote the song, and then we just kind of, they came in with it, did their own thing, and once we got like 5 songs together, it wasn't even like we had like a ton. It was like, oh, here's 5 songs, let's go record an EP. But
That's awesome. Yeah, first albums are always fun. It's like you feel, you look back on it and it's like, oh, it was so innocent, and then but at the same time it's like, I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's like, it's kind of like, yeah. Well, I don't know. It is good to have your first album as your kind of defining like opener to the world. It's like, it's I don't know. It's like I always get the feeling whenever a new album is released that I'm involved in, it's like, oh, this is the one, and then I kind of forget about the old one. But it's like, it's I don't know. Like at the same time, at other points, I get super nostalgic and just like I want to listen to like really old stuff, and it's like, fuck yeah, this is where I was at in life, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
time
cool
capsule.
Yeah, and it's cool that other people like are sharing that moment in your life. Like it's I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm moving on to Thundermouth. So where did the name come from?
Oh my God. I don't know. I think that was another one of those things where like, what sounds really cool? In fact, we came up with the name for that album before we even had enough songs and before there was a song called Thundermouth. We just thought it sounded cool.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
Fair. That makes sense. I think so. What's my favorite track is probably Ghost in Flames. What's your favorite track off of that one?
Favorite track, Appalachian Sasquatch.
Bigfoot, baby. He's coming for your ass.
Yeah.
Just because that was really the one in like a broader sense where like people really started kind of noticing us.
Yeah.
And we got a good bit of traction. We were able to do like a music video with it. So that's just like more of like a fond memory thing. And I always just have a blast playing it. Yeah.
Like when we play with you guys live, it's like that song, it's a crowd pleaser, and it always makes me super amped up. And it's like, the one lyric, Creatures of the Pine, is such a cool way to describe like
I can't really take too much credit for that, because what that song is about is when my dad was in high school, he went to East Penn in Enola, and around that time there was a guy who would dress up in a Bigfoot costume, and he would call himself the Pine Hill Creature, and he would like go through the forest and he like freak people out, but he'd also be like slinging merch on the side. People didn't know he was the one doing it. Yeah, so that's what that song's about.
Fuck yeah. So do you believe in Bigfoot?
I do not. It'd be super cool if he was real. I know, big disappointment, but
yeah, no, that would be awesome. I used to be I was a big fan of X-Files when I grew up, so I was always into like I was super into science fiction, and I wish Mothmen were real. I wish Bigfoot was real, but
right?
You have to be a cynical adult and just say like, there's no God. All of this sucks, and
I know, I got to be the big bummer in the room.
Yeah.
Like,
oh well. What's the song Horoscope about? because the reason I ask is like the lyrics in that, it sounds like you're throwing shade at somebody, and I really enjoy that. But do you remember what that one's about?
Yeah, I think I wrote that one in a day because I think I was really mad at people who thought that was real.
Uh-huh.
Like, just
Yeah.
like horoscopes and the signs and everything. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But anytime I write a song, it's not necessarily there's like, this is 100% what the meaning of it is. A lot of the times I might even think of just like a line that means something in a completely different context, but I'll kind of just put it in there anyway. It doesn't necessarily mean that's like, I have like an overall idea and kind of what the song's about, but it doesn't mean that that's what the whole song is the whole way through. So a lot of the times too, I do kind of forget what certain lines and stuff mean, because kind of like what you were saying, that was like a different point in your life, and I don't know what was happening that day, but
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It kind of makes it more abstract, and like, you know, that way it's going back to songs meaning different things to different people. I mean, when you start convoluting the lyrics a bit, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this kind of could mean a whole bunch of things, and so it's like, go nuts. And it's like, so I could be wrong about this. In Forbidden Knowledge, there's blast beats on the very end. Am I right?
yeah, I think that was more of just like, oh, you should do this. That'll be hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Not like it's just out of the blue, because that's something he's like, Quentin just does not do. Or like, you should just do some blast beats. Just do it.
Yeah, because I was listening to it, and then, you know, by that point, I'm going through everything, so it's just like, huh, I don't hear that anywhere else. It's like, but I know that's fucking cool. Like, and I mean, we'll get to Seaches, but it's like that at that point, it's cool, all these little elements that you guys throw in that kind of make the songs, like, give them this unique stamp. I mean, I thought that was really interesting.
I think with Thundermouth, that was really like the finding our sound type album. And that was like our first full-length album. But I think with that, it's like, okay, I think we're onto something. I think like we know what our sound's going to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely got a more refined sense from you guys in Thundermouth. By the time you get to Seaches, it's like, okay, this is now we're on the top shelf. And it makes me very excited to hear more music from you guys and just like hear how you guys keep evolving, you know? But
I cannot wait to release new music. It's killing me. I just want to share like everything, but I can't.
I know, right? God, fuck! I want this to end, not the interview, the whole pandemic thing on Earth.
I thought you meant life, but yeah, that too.
Well, that's like a normal day for me. So with Sieges and Sirens, it was much harder to choose like a track that I could be like, oh, this is my favorite. I had a bunch. The opening track, so Fool's Gold Flesh. I mean, that's a fucking awesome song to start the album with. Like, and Keystone, the Dancing Shaman, Jenny Greenteeth, Uproot. Like there's a lot of stuff to choose from, and I think that album it gets to this territory where there's a lot of diverse influences on it. You know, I mean, that's definitely the impression I get. Do you have a favorite track off of Seaches?
That one's really tough to do, just because I love like basically every song on there. But if I did have to pick, it would be Fool's Gold Flesh, only because it's really fun to play live.
Dude, it sounds like it's awesome to play. Where did the name come from for Seaches and Sirens?
That came from when I was writing Jenny Greenteeth.
It's away your heart. I want to drown. Please take me down.
That is about a sea hag who lives in Lake Erie.
Gotcha.
I was reading a lot of folklore and stuff, and I figured out what like a seach was, which I didn't even know that was a word. I don't know if seaches is a word, because if you Google seaches, nothing comes up, like, at all. I cannot find anything for seaches. But like a seach, and I might even be wrong, is like a small, like, wave in like a lake, like kind of like from a storm.
Hmm.
So Seaches, I couldn't find that anywhere, but that's where that came from. And then Siren is the sea hag.
Yeah. So in this one, in Sieges and Sirens, I noticed that there's a lot of, or not a lot, but like you use a lot more vocal harmony than you did before. And I could be wrong, but is there any vocal harmony on Thundermouth that's like more prominent? No?
There's really not. We dabbled in Thundermouth. When I mean dabble, I mean maybe like 2 songs and it's buried in the back. But that kind of came from a place of like Seth wanting to do it, but he's in the same boat as me where he never sang at all. And then he was practicing during like the Thundermouth period. And then in Seaches, it was like finally ready. Plus we were listening to like a ton more Baroness.
Yeah.
And we're just like, this needs to happen.
Fuck yeah. I mean, it works great. And the amount of like, there's a lot of vocal diversity on this album. Like I was saying before, it's just like, you like from vocal harmonies to harmonizers, like to it's like on Stonecutters during the verse.
Riches, power, anything you want at no cost to you.
Be gone, spirit! I will make my living the honest way, as working men do.
It's right. You have like this back and forth kind of harmonizer thing, and it's really interesting. Oh, this is a random question on Keystone. And towards the end, there's a can opening.
Yeah.
What were you drinking?
Seth was drinking a PBR.
You can't go
And
wrong.
we just wanted to put that in there. We were also jingling car keys at that point too, during that section, just to fill in some space. We do a lot of weird things like that, and I think we're definitely going to continue that.
Yeah, I love in recording albums, like a lot of people don't realize it, but you sometimes just bury random shit that like people don't know about, and it's so much fun.
It is. It's like a Where's Waldo type thing.
I love it. It's so what's the deal with Dancing Shaman and the Psychedelic Cactus?
I had a revelation, an epiphany if you will. Existence is meaningless and meaningless is just a word. And I'm just a piece of dust floating on a rock through space. And I'll be dead in 40 years. I won't be remembered. My music will be forgotten. Humanity's light will die. But there is one thing that's important, and that is nothing. Because nothing is everything and everything is nothing.
Where did that come from?
So there's actually 2 parts to it.
Okay.
So it started with just one of our stories, and it was just about a prisoner being drugged through the desert for a crime he didn't commit, and he was going to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
But since he's being drugged through the desert, he starts to hallucinate and see things. So that's kind of where that came from. He's like hallucinating on the way to his death. But the middle section, that idea kind of it's like that's completely separate from the song, because I had an idea of, I thought it would be funny if a guy who was singing a song forgot he was singing a song, and then he just went into an existential crisis for a second, and then just kind of came back into the song. So that's like its own like part. It doesn't really have to do with the whole story of it.
I love that though, because that makes a lot of sense. Because it's just like
like now you get it. Like, oh, okay.
I forget what track number this is. What is We Would Have?
I am just a boy.
Yes. We Would Done Hun. It's Cherokee for call upon.
Gotcha. And that's the original spelling, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just offended a bunch of people. I'm sorry. Is that you singing on Uproot, like in the verses?
No, that is Seth.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I could have missed it. Like, how often is he singing in like an not harmonized, but like singing just like a verse?
So he does, I mean, in Keystone, he kind of does like the backing, like the call and response type thing in the chorus. He does it there. Interstellar Executive, he sings the whole thing.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't sing on that at all. That's just him.
You,
For Stonecutter, he's doing the verses. And he sings with me like on the chorus, obviously, but that's kind of backing. Call of the Mothman, he does one verse because we kind of switch verses on that. So he does a good bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like your voices blend very well, but Uproot was like the first time where I was like, that is definitely a different singer. Like he has these like grunty kind of sound, like, you know, at that point. But no, your voices complement each other very well. Like it's nice that it worked out that you guys both happen to have this sort of sound that fits, you know. But
I think it also comes from a place of neither of us taking singing lessons and then both of us kind of learning from each other. So
yeah.
I think that may be kind of why, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it works out. Okay, so that is it for Seaches. So I hear you're working on a new album. So what can you tell us about that?
All right, so all the songs are done, pre-production done. We were supposed to start recording in March, but of course that didn't happen. So we're actually taking this time to refine it even more, which I think has worked out. Mm-hmm. I can't say too much, but we did get a guest to be on the record. And when he said yes, I could not believe it because it's someone that I've looked up to for like a long time. So they're going to be on the record. You will find out then.
Oh, shit.
On the record, we're playing a lot with instruments and just a lot of weirdness. There will be banjo on it. There will be trumpet. I'm trying to get a theremin. We'll see if that happens. There's an organ. There's definitely probably going to be another spoon in there somewhere, but it's going to be a good time. A lot more vocal harmonies. And you know what? I will just say this. I will give one thing away about the album.
Okay.
We wrote a song, me and Seth, in 5th grade, and it was called Alien Spiders. And it was just the dumbest lyrics imaginable. And we wrote the lyrics to the guitar part of Korn's Freak on a Leash for some reason and just sang over it. So for whatever reason, Seth was just like, you know what? Let's bring it back, but let's make the music part and like, you know, vocal melodies and harmonies amazing, but let's keep the lyrics basically exactly the same. So that's going to be super interesting. And people can look forward to that then.
That's fucking awesome. So that sounds very exciting. Is there anything you want to promote right now?
At the moment, I guess just follow us on social media, listen to our Spotify so we can get that penny every 500 listens, right. And just support each other, whether it be venues or other musicians or just people in general. People are going through a hard time. So I guess if you yourself are fortunate and you're able to give to anyone who could use it, definitely do so. People will appreciate it.
Very, very good way to end this. So Shayne Reed from Almost Honest, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. All right, well, stay safe.
Misery of the soul.